This subset of what the work I'm going to present today is just a subset of the ongoing research work that I'm already doing in the neonatal population in my hospital. We have an excellent NICU and PICU unit with great work being done. So I thought, why not use the opportunity to work on this thing. So we have an ongoing research on neonatal sepsis. This is a part of that subset of that ongoing research. So my topic today is on normoblasts in low birth weight babies. Now, low birth weight babies is defined as those which are less than 2,500 grams. Everyone knows that of the gestational age. But along with that, now we have the definitions of very low birth weight, which is less than 1,500 gram, and extremely low birth weight, that is 1,000 grams. Now, these definitions probably earlier were not so much in this because the outcome of these babies were not, but with improved modalities, I think more and more these babies are being seen in a hospital setup. Apart from this, we need to know the terms, that is preterm. All the babies born before 37 age is preterm, but also there are terms of very preterm, which is when the babies are born less than 32 weeks of gestational age, and extreme preterm when they are born before 20 weeks of gestation. Now, why it is important to know about low birth weight babies, or why the study on low birth weight babies? Because it's the single most important factor determining the survival chances of the child. And in the NICU or outside, and 2/3 of these babies are preterm. More and more incidence of preterm babies is being seen as compared to because of the more and more evolving treating modalities where the survival of these children is improving. So UNICEF WHO on low birth weight babies stated that the prevalence in South Asian states is 26.4%. And in World Health Assembly, they have taken a goal of reducing the this thing off by 30% worldwide by 2025, which is a daunting, because the figures now are nowhere near the achieved goal or target. The prevalence of low birth weight in India, the National Family Health Survey, which is the latest study which is published on 2023, has shown that 1/5 of the infants had low birth weight, and the incidence is 17.06. This is the average in certain states, especially the central states of India, and that includes most of the metro cities like West Bengal, Maharashtra, Gujarat, the central part, UP, MP, Punjab, Delhi, and also the central part of MP, Uttar Pradesh. All these states have even higher incidence beyond 20. So children with low birth weight baby, why it is important to know about them? Because they have a 4-fold high risk of neonatal death. So it's their management which is important, and advancements in medical technologies now have enhanced the survival rates, but at a cost. That is, because of the advanced management, there is increasing health cost management and a financial burden that comes along with that. And these low birth weight babies are also susceptible to more longer stay in hospitals. So a more financial burden to the parents, to the society at large. These low birth weight babies also tend to have a lot of comorbidities associated with the lower birth weight, from say a central nervous system like lethargy, inactive. There are interventricular hemorrhage, cardiovascular. 1/3 of them are supposed to have a patent ductus arteriosus. Respiratory, they come with infections, respiratory distress, atelectasis, pneumonitis. Gastrointestinal, there is intolerance to feed, and then hepatic immaturity is leads to hyperbilirubinemia. So most of them have a neonatal hyperbilirubinemia. Jaundice, not all, and not all probably required phototherapy, but it is universally seen, and they are all prone to the most important comorbidity, that is infection. So either most commonly as the early onset neonatal sepsis, and sometimes even late neonatal onset sepsis. So normoblasts, what we are trying to study here is the importance of normoblast as erythropoietic progenitor cells which are present in the bone marrow. They are not present in the peripheral smear of an adult, but in children, and not even in the children. In neonates, they are present, but still they can be a significant biomarker to indicate to the hypoxic and inflammatory injuries and the stress, and they can be a predictive for adverse outcome. Like sir has already said, that the basic idea of this conferences or seminars is for the clinical utility. So the idea of this study was also to improve the clinical utility of this day-to-day marker that we normally see in our analyzers. So we had in all 80 low birth weight babies, those which were born in a hospital. We have inclusion was those which were admitted in our NICU, while those which were admitted from outside were excluded from the study. And the estimated normoblast in the CBC samples within 24 hours. We all know that as compared to the adults, getting the blood from the neonates and then analyzing and over a period of time becomes a challenge because of the fact that especially in very low preterm and extremely low preterm babies, where the amount of sample can be very small, and then correlate these normal NRBCs or normoblasts as inflammation markers with the comorbidities, and to have associate and find out whether it can be a predictive marker for a clinical outcome of the babies. So we have done automated normoblast counts are available. We have the Mindray BC 6800 plus, where all the birth CBCs were run on the CDR mode, and a manual verification always was conducted. As again, sir, I do would say that I love to look at the smears and would always miss if I don't get to see a single smear. So looking at the smears is always a pleasure. So manual verification of every count is done in our center and reported as per 100 WBCs as per norms. Correlation of the findings were made with the clinical history, the length of stay of the baby in the hospital, and then associated comorbidities. A correlation was also made between the automated counts and the manual counts that are done, and association was attempted with HNR percentage, but this is still for further studies. Between HNR percentage and LNR percent, this is yet to be completed to be next year probably. So among the 80 neonates that we had, 48 babies did not have, though they were low birth weight babies, did not have associated comorbidities. So the length of the stay of these babies were hardly 3 to 5 days at the max. And among these, and 32 of them had comorbidities associated with the low birth weight. Then of these, the term babies were nearly 21. 5 of these were IVF pregnancies, an increasing trend now that we are going to see. Also, IUGR, we saw 5 cases of IUGR, 4 of which were confirmed with placenta biopsies in our hospital. Twin pregnancies were nearly 7 of them. With increased IVF, twin pregnancies have become more of a norm and a common factor. What was importantly seen in this study was that there were many maternal high risk factors which was contributing probably to the low birth weight of the babies. Most common of them were diabetes, hypothyroidism, per vaginal leak of the amniotic fluid, where in 2-3 of them there cervical encirclage was done prior to the delivery. Also, hypothyroidism was found in few of the mothers, and even one mother had a brain SOL. So the low birth weight baby was because the mother already had a brain SOL in the posterior fossa. So the emergency LSCS had to be performed, because it is seen, we had two such cases where because of the maternal hormones, the brain SOL tends to swell up and create more symptoms in the mother. And of course, pregnancy induced hypertension also is one of the correlations. So all these maternal high risk factors were seen in nearly 20 of the 32 babies with comorbidities, and almost all 100% of these 80 babies of low birth weight were found to have neonatal hyperbilirubinemia. All of them have increased bilirubin, but not all required phototherapy, because unless it is clinically symptomatic or beyond the threshold that we know of, sometimes not just 14, they give the phototherapy even at 12 or 10 if there are clinical symptoms and the baby develops the jaundice after, say, day 3 or 5. So phototherapy was given in almost 25 of these babies. So the observations what we had was, among these 80, 21 term, 56 were preterm, of which only 3 of these were very preterm, and 80 of these 2 were extremely low birth weight babies, and while 11 were very low birth weight, the other most of the were only low birth weight. And the most important aspect was the length of stay of the babies when they didn't have the comorbidities was that of 3 to 5 days, but when their low birth weight babies, the average length of stay was found to be almost 19 days, and which ranged from nearly 5 to 45 days, 41 days. So these were the findings that we saw among the the length of the stay, like I said, 3 to 5 days. Those with complications had the most common complication or comorbidity disease that was associated with low birth weight baby was that of sepsis. Almost 29 of these 32 babies had sepsis, either early onset, most commonly early onset neonatal sepsis, which was found in almost 26, while 3 were having late onset neonatal sepsis. But only 5 of them had proven culture positive, but all of them had culture sepsis screen positivity. And after treatment, when the sepsis screen was negative, then onwards the discharge of the patient was found out. I think I went back. Yes. So among the very preterm and very low birth weight, we had 3 such babies where the birth weight was less than 1,000. One was 755, one was 800, and the other was 800, one of which had IUGR. We have also done the placenta biopsy of this patient. All of them had respiratory distress syndrome, and all these 3 had, one had late onset, but 2 had early onset neonatal sepsis. And as you can see, the length of stay in these extremely low birth weight babies is very high. And the normoblast percentage also, if you can see, compared to what is there, which I'll show in the subsequent slide, is high. Here, in fact, the one with 800 grams had a normoblast of 115, and one with the LOS of 43 days, along with the sepsis, this baby had a cardiac problem of TOF. So the normoblast percentage here was very high. And this normoblast percentage was done on the first, within 24 hours. And that we feel corroborates with the higher comorbidity of the. So among the 11 babies which were very preterm, the length of stay was 19, and sepsis was found in most except of one of the twins. Both the twins were admitted, but one twin had sepsis while the other need not, but both were low birth weight babies. The table format is there as to give the normoblast percentage. If you can see, the average percentage of normoblast in these babies is almost 34.8 as compared to the normal, which is less than 2. And all these babies had respiratory distress syndrome, all of them except one. All of them had neonatal hyperbilirubinemia, 4 of which were IUGR, IVF. One had tetralogy of Fallot, and one had patent ductus arteriosus. And I had already told about the maternal factors. The preterm low birth weight babies with no associated diseases had a normoblast percentage of only 0 to 2 with an average of just 0.48. So in spite of neonates having the normoblast, the percentage in the peripheral smears is very low. And in preterm babies with comorbidities or diseases, the average goes much higher. This is low birth weight babies, not extremely low birth weight or very preterm, very low birth weight babies, just low birth weight babies, that is between 2,500 to 1,500. There the average normoblast percentage becomes 5. So you can see in low birth weight babies, the average normoblast percentage, so in normal, without associated, it is less than 2, an average of 0.5. Of more than, in low birth weight, it is average of 5. In very low birth weight, the average goes to 24.8. And in extremely low birth weight babies, it goes even higher. In though the one baby had just 12 and the other babies had 600 and 115. So as the low birth weight is more extreme, the number of normoblast percentages is also there. Also they also have increased association and more comorbidities, the most common of which is sepsis. We also correlated the WBC and automated normoblast percentages for the in septic babies, and there was a high positive correlation with the mean normoblast value of 40 as an average in all the low birth weight babies. We have also correlated the, like I said, automated and the manual counts, and there also the Pearson coefficient is found to be 0.97, which is high. The only observation is that the reported normoblast percentages, we always report them as per 100 WBCs. It is slightly lower always than the automated, which tends to be higher because we always round it off to the lower side as compared to the automated, which is in point and decimal points. So to summarize my talk, elevated nuclear red blood cell within the first 24 hours can be a predictive of severe morbidity or adverse outcome, so that this could help in the clinical utility of management of this patient, knowing that these patients are going to stay in the NICU for a longer time and would need more management, especially from sepsis point of view, which is a single most important complication which was seen in low birth weight babies. And of these 80, the length of stay also was increased from in normal without comorbidities from 3 to 5 to nearly an average of 19 days. And there was a good correlation between automatic and the microscopic estimation of normoblast, and a high positive correlation between increasing ranges of WBC and normoblast in sepsis. So that's to summarize my talk. Thank you all.